Good evening and thank you for joining us. Acting Thunder Bay Police Chief Sylvie Hoth says she's appealing to the province for additional funding for more police officers to deal with a spike in gang-related crime. That admission came as part of a presentation Hoth made to City Council last night, providing a broad overview of the state of policing in our city. Ryan Bonazzo has more.
Over the last year, Thunder Bay Police have made 52 gang-related arrests, leading to the seizure of 9 firearms, including 8 semi-automatic handguns, more than $1 million in cash, and nearly $1 million worth of drugs. Every one of those people arrested are from Southern Ontario or Western Canada.
Gang members coming to Thunder Bay are replaced as fast as they are arrested and incarcerated.
What brings them here is a lucrative drug market. What they bring with them is more gun crime and even an uptick in human trafficking cases. As Councillor Rebecca Johnson alluded to Monday evening, that puts additional onus on the police service over and above just solving the crimes.
What are you actually doing about educating the community more so than just the work that you have to do in the police department? Because this isn't, it could be a 13 or a 9-year-old girl, will say, that all of a sudden is gone.
We are going, for example, into the hotels, and we're educating staff as to what potentially to be on the lookout. What does it look like when somebody is being trafficked? What are the telltale signs of somebody that might be under duress or being under the thumbnail of somebody that's trafficking them?
Hoth said she's asking the Minister of Community Safety and Correctional Services for more money to hire more officers. It all adds up to an incredibly stressful day's work for those currently in uniform. And then there's the outside scrutiny, which has been tremendous in recent years.
Scrutiny from us, scrutiny from your office, scrutiny from your board, scrutiny from the media, and of course there are a number of outside agencies looking at our agency. I'm wondering how our workers, both the sworn workers and civilian workers, are reacting and how morale is.
I'm very proud of them because they turn the other cheek, they do what's required, they are professional, and they deal with the situation at hand to the best of their abilities and ensure that the person, whether they're a victim, an accused, or someone in need of help, gets the help that they need or bring a resolution to the conflict. So for that, I thank them for continuing to keep their chin up and doing the job that they need to do in a very professional manner.
Ryan Bonazzo, TBT News.
Also from last night, Councillor Trevor Gertuga asked administration to find ways to deal with late-night disturbances in a popular McIntyre Ward park. And Council also agreed to provide $15,000 in the form of a loan to the organizers of the annual ThunderCon, which draws about 4,500 comic book fans to the city. Carmen Wong has more.
That noise should be the sound of children playing.
Instead, residents say they hear and see much less pleasing sounds and sights coming from John Jumbo Park. And McIntyre Councillor Trevor Gertuga wants administration to find ways to deter unruly behavior. Being loud, revving their engines, littering, swearing, intimidating some of the younger children that are coming through. There's been some drug dealing going on in there. Some parents have told me that their young children have been asked if they wanted to buy drugs. It's really affecting the quality of life of the people that live directly adjacent to the park. His fellow councillors unanimously supported the call, asking for a report outlining the city's options, perhaps cameras, additional lighting or gates, and what it will cost to implement the measures. Council also asked for a broader review of security and bylaw enforcement at all city parks. Also on Monday, Council agreed to lend $15,000 to the organizers of the annual ThunderCon in order to help finance this year's comic book convention, scheduled to be held next month. The money is then to be paid back out of the proceeds raised. The approval came in spite of objections from administration and Councillor Rebecca Johnson. While she says ThunderCon, which attracts about 4,500 visitors to our city, is a great event, she believes this sets a dangerous precedent.
We establish a budget back in January, February, and say this is our budget, and then somebody comes along like ThunderCon and says we want some more money. Or we want some money, and then we are very generous and we give it to them. And I have a problem with that.
We have a process for this as well iterated by Councillor Johnson earlier, and this organization missed the deadline to apply for funding there. The City of Thunder Bay is not a lending agency. Our advice to you is that the corporation should not be in a position to lend money to other entities.
All those in favor of the motion, please.
In the end, only Johnson voted against loaning the money. Meanwhile, a review of the accessibility of traffic intersections in the city was withdrawn from Monday's agenda and will be presented at a later date. Council also accepted information regarding a proposed transit museum at Pool 6 with no discussion on the issue. Carmen Wong, TVT News.
The lawyer who launched the legal challenge to the province's decision to cut the size of Toronto City Council is acknowledging defeat. Well, a judge has ruled the Premier overstepped his bounds by making the cut. Doug Ford has recalled the legislature and will use the notwithstanding clause to push Bill 5 through. Now, one of the leading opponents to those cuts says his legal challenge is over. Colin DeMello reports.
When the Premier put the notwithstanding clause on the table yesterday, all hope of a legal challenge evaporated.
I felt like the wind was knocked out of me, and today's a very, very sad morning. This is, you've heard of a lament for a nation. Today, a lament for a province.
Today, Rocco Champong, who challenged Bill 5 in court, was back at the courthouse, with Justice Bello Baba telling him the government can invoke the controversial clause.
It's done. The notwithstanding clause is the nuclear option. It is finished. It is the hydrogen bomb, my friends. Game is over.
With little recourse, some are now turning to the federal government. Mayor John Tory had a nighttime meeting with Justin Trudeau and was asked about it on News Talk 1010.
I mean, he'll speak for himself. I don't want to speak for him on this, but I certainly did suggest that he may want to be thinking about lending his voice to this issue, which I think he'd be inclined to do anyway, because, the notwithstanding clause is a part of our national constitution. And I think it was very important for he and I to, most importantly, reaffirm our cooperation with each other, which we did.
His challenger for the mayor's office, Jennifer Keesmaat, was asked if Ottawa should intervene.
It's clear that this has become a national issue. This isn't something that is now of a consequence just in the city of Toronto. It's of consequence across this entire city, entire country.
In the meantime, there are protests planned inside Queen's Park and outside City Hall as the government moves ahead with Bill 5. Colin DeMello, CTV News.
Reaction continues to pour in following yesterday's decision from Premier Ford to use the notwithstanding clause. Area MPPs Michael Gravel and Judith Monteith-Farrell have both voiced their displeasure with Ford's move. Monteith-Farrell says it's an attack on democracy, while Gravel says it raises concerns over the basic income pilot and anything else that Ford opposes. Both agree it was an inappropriate decision by the Premier.
A legal decision was made about this particular piece of legislation. Certainly it would be appropriate, and the government is appealing the decision. That's appropriate. What's not appropriate is to use the notwithstanding clause in the charter to override this legal decision.
I think all municipalities should expect that if you get onto Doug Ford's radar and he doesn't like something you're doing, he's going to interfere, and he does have that right. But the process needs to be there, right?
MPs say they will oppose the use of the clause when they return to Queen's Park tomorrow. Thunder Bay police have released video of the latest city convenience store robbery. It happened last night, just before midnight, when a man entered the Edward Street Max armed with a knife and with his face covered by a balaclava and demanded cash. After being given a small amount of money, he fled the business on foot. The store clerk wasn't injured. The thief's described as being about 5'6" with a medium build. He was wearing a dark gray hoodie and dark pants and gloves. Police are asking anyone with information on the robbery to contact them. Well, it's no secret most children are less active these days as more and more time is spent using a variety of electronic devices. To help address that, a workshop was hosted in the city today to help educators get kids on the move. Ben Nesbitt has more.
Early childhood educators and community leaders got a full day of instruction today, aimed at improving the physical literacy of kids. Representatives from Sport for Life and Changing the Game led workshops for about 80 participants, providing them with the keys to getting kids off the couch and moving. It's something Healthy Kids Community Challenge Coordinator Marianne Stewart feels strongly about.
It's not just physical activity, right, getting kids moving, but getting kids in our community moving well so that they're learning those fundamental movement skills like agility, balance, coordination. And then once they have the competence and the knowledge, then they can apply that. They can move well, they can do a number of sports, they'll get outside, they'll be more active, they'll be healthier, and then they'll be active for life.
The research clearly shows that too much screen time for children can have a negative impact on early outcome development, physical and psychological health. And with the recent development in technology, Canadian youth are spending more and more time in front of screens and less time engaging in physical activity and with one another. Something Sport for Life's Drew Mitchell would certainly like to see change.
Technology, the TV, the computer, the handheld, they've all become outcomes of being restricted. So it really, it's a behavior issue more than anything else. I think it's important for our institutions in the community, schools, recreation departments, sport clubs, health units, to all be working together better.
A recent study shows only 35% of Canadians from ages 5 to 17 are getting the daily recommended physical activity of 60 minutes. Ben Nesbitt, TBT News.
The Arthritis Society of Thunder Bay opened its doors to the public today at their brand new location. The event featured beverages, snacks, information about their services, and a chance for the public to get a glimpse of their new office. Although the clinic moved to Barton Street back in June, the organization waited until September, which is Arthritis Awareness Month, to celebrate. Approximately 30 guests had signed up in advance, and walk-ins were also welcome. Manager of Community Development for the Arthritis Society in Northwestern Ontario, Shauna Beaulieu, says their new location eliminates a lot of the accessibility problems they had at the previous office.
A big opportunity for us because it's a lot more clinical. So we're able to see a lot more people that might have mobility issues, struggling with arthritis, with a lot more ease.
We help people see what are some of the causes of their pain, help them understand their arthritis, how they can manage and cope, how they can live the best way they can with that, and help connect them with different types of other services in the community as well that will support their goals and the way they'd like to live their lives.
Patients are able to self-refer or get a doctor's referral if they want to be seen by an arthritis specialist. Staff say they're confident this new location will draw in more people and make it easier to treat those in need. And the George Jeffrey Children's Foundation has launched a new campaign that highlights heroes in our community. Who is your hometown hero is a feel-good campaign aimed at raising funds in support of the George Jeffrey Children's Foundation, Pro Kids of Thunder Bay, and Firefly. Executive Director Steve McDonald says the initiative gives everyone in the community a chance to be recognized.
Total as much as we are as getting the word out in the community about who our hometown heroes are. Because so often we go through our day-to-day lives without recognizing the people in our lives who might do those little things that really make our day better. So we wanted to do something to help our community spirit.
Now, in return for their donation, people get the chance to highlight the heroes in their lives by adding a Post-it note to the hero boards that will be on display throughout the community.
Well, Fiona, I'm not complaining, but it sure felt more